name is Chris Massenbrook. Got a second in the Swiss rounds and got top 32 overall with my Chainburn deck. So without further ado, let's get started. It's the tech card that everybody is talking about. Three copies of Watt Cobra. It's very good. It gets a lot of extra pokes in, which Chainburn with its usual shenanigans often can get like 6k damage in. Just getting that extra few thousand points is very crucial. Watt Cobra is also very good as like a psychological trick against my opponents. Get them to think I'm playing Watts in the early game. Get them to keep dead cards in. These three are almost always sided out, games 2 and 3. But I get my opponents to keep cards like Mirror Force and Deep Prison in their deck. I remember I had a Machina Girgia match in like game 9, where game 2 I saw the guy had Cyber Dragon in his deck. He had Deep Prison in his deck. He had Mirror Force in his deck. He had dead card after dead card, all of which were probably still in there because he thought I had my Watt Cobras. So it's a very solid choice. 3-step Scarecrow, it's very self-explanatory, super good on the defense. There's really not much that needs to be said about him. Subpar on the Agent matchup because they can just herald him. Only time I would ever like side him out. Otherwise, he's just such an excellent card, and you are always happy when you draw him. Double Lava Golem, good at field control, tributing annoying monsters from your opponents, making their Mullen Glacias skip their battle phase. And just in general, like if you can stall them out, so the burn from Lava Golem really starts to add up over time. It's like I run a fair amount of defense in this deck, so Lava Golem is just a very powerful card. Very happy with him. So those are the monsters. For spells, we got 2 Train Strike, self-explanatory, can hit like 2,000 most of the time. It's just one of the best cards. Triple 1 Day of Peace, excellent for defense, excellence for draw power. It's really good like after you explode and you need to recover and you need to survive turn after turn when you don't have a whole lot. 1 day into 1 day into 1 day is just a really excellent way to do it. And won so many games because I could just resolve 1 day. A double Pot of Duality. Again, it's really good for the consistency. Pretty much the only time you don't do this is if you want to summon a Lava Golem that turn, or I'd summoned a Watt Cobra and didn't want my opponent to realize I was playing Chainburn yet. That scenario sort of faded as I got higher in the rounds and everybody knew who I was and what I was doing. But, you know, pretty good card, so that out of the way. And everyone's really here for the traps. We got 3 Just Desserts, 3 Secret Barrel, 1 Ceasefire, sort of the crux of the deck. Cards that burn your opponents for having cards. It's just, you know, they're just the good cards. The only really thing to be aware of is Ceasefire doesn't interact with the Ojama tokens, but other than that, it's very excellent. For the draw power, we got 3 Ruthless Greed, double Legacy, double Jar, triple Accumulated Fortune. Just want to keep cycling through as much as possible. These all give chain links. These are just so amazing when you can get them off. I just want to anytime you can resolve like 2 of your draw 2s. It generates so much advantage that it's very hard to lose at that point. And then we got double Ojama Trio because it powers up my burn spells and ruins opponents' fields. And then for the defense, 2 Evoku, 2 Threatening Roar, 2 Magic Cylinder. Just very flexible, very good at stalling out turn after turn, and just very happy with how that all worked. So that's the main deck. Set that off to the side. The extra deck's pretty irrelevant. Like you can just look at it really quick. The only time I ever used it was in a match against Insectors. I made my stroke with 2 Watt Cobras. But there's like really nothing to be said. The only real purpose to the extra deck is so that it exists, so you aren't telegraphing to your opponents that you are playing something weird. And the side deck. We got 3 Gemini Imps for Dark Worlds, which I didn't play, and for Mormails, which I didn't draw it against. So I like the idea of it. I would still use it, just unfortunate that I never drew into them. An extra Lava Golem for anyone that's really like fills their field with problematic monsters like Xian or Lagia. Volcanic Queen for the same reason. Queen is such a risky card, and I always hate when I have to summon her. Very glad I never had to side her this tournament. But a smart player against the game 2 and 3, they'll like make Lagia, they'll make Xian, and they'll just sit on it to deny you your Lava Golem. So at that point, you have to have the Queen just to force something to happen. 2 Marshmallow. Wasn't really sure when I would put this one in. Never did. Probably end up taking him out. I guess it would be in if like some of my defensive traps were dead, but the only traps that were ever sometimes dead was like Magic Cylinder against something that pops them back all the time, and anything that does that will also pop Marshmallow. So, fortunately, just not as good as it used to be. A single Battle Fader, you know, if I need to be taking out traps against somebody, Battle Fader can go in. Threw him in a few times, usually didn't, but it was nice to have. These three, just an extra copy of each of my defensive traps. The most common ones I sighted in after I sighted out my Watt Cobras. Just excellent to have like 6 or more turns where you deny your opponent their battle phase, make them angry, and draw into the cards you need to win. And then finally, Heavy Storm and Triple MSC just to hit those Royal Decrees, which I got decreed once this whole tournament. Saw a couple people side Trap Stuns, which I never got into. Trap Stun I got nothing for, so any advice to anyone who wants to beat Chainburn? Trap Stun, not Royal Decree. Yeah, that's the deck.
Well, anyways, I have a few questions. If you would have changed anything from the deck inside the, what would it be and why?
Well, like I said,
besides the Marshmallows.
The Marshmallows weren't very good. I'd probably take them out. And I'd probably take one more out, like probably the Heavy, just because even against Roller Craze, I never felt the need to set in Heavy. Probably take those 3 out and replace them with 3 Dark Bribes, just so I had something I could do against Trap Stun.
But overall, you wouldn't change anything from the main?
Nah, I really like the way the main performed. So just think my trap lineup is very solid. The Watt Cobras put in a lot of good work. I guess the one thing I'd want to look into in the future is I was tempted to build the Gustav Max variant, but I didn't have enough time to really test, because I'm not really sold on how useful like Meteon or Tragodia or Metal Reflect Slime is in the main outside of materials for Gustav. But you know, in the future, that's something to mess around with.
Man, thank you for the deck profile, giving us your time. I hope for next time.